Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? It is what day is it? Thursday. Uh, Something in May, 15th of May. What's going on? Meteorologist Noah Bergren here on a Fox 35 Weather Extra for Thursday. Hope you had a great day today and stayed cool. It was a. Did you see that? Seagull almost plastered the camera again. Well, when you, I'm
Isn't
not
that
kidding.
Like the second time that's happened
second
today?
time. Oh, sorry, y'all. Yeah, I understand. Sorry, those of you on Fox. In the 6 o'clock news, Sorry, it's been a long day. The seagull almost. I swear it was flying right into the camera, and at like the 11th hour, it pulled up right over the camera. I think it was the same seagull. Anyway, maybe it's trying to get away from the heat. What's going on? What's going on? Hello, we're on Fox Local, YouTube, Facebook. Hope you had a great day today. There's the view outside, and I think my forehead matches my tie, which that's not probably the most ideal way to go about a Thursday, but I hope your Thursday was better. So we've got some heat to talk about, but I think you knew that. The temperatures over the next few days are going to be staying really hot, and they're only going to get hotter. In fact, I think once we get to this weekend, we're going to get somewhere up to about, I think, 96, 97. Wouldn't shock me if some places get to like 98, 99, and I'll show you that here coming up in a second. All right, so here are the temperatures for the next several days. We'll get right into the meat and potatoes here. So here's the latest forecast. 95 tomorrow, 96 Saturday, 97 Sunday, 97 Monday, 97 Tuesday. Now, 97, 96 in Orlando, is that unprecedented? No, not at all. Not at all. What is uncommon is to have a week of this early in the year. Now, I was chatting with our Fox sister station chief med in Tampa, Paul Delgado, and he has a lot of phrases he likes to use about Florida, and Brooks Garner I talked to this morning about the same thing. You know, this is the time of the year when Florida, regarding the heat, Florida does often get really hot without rain. Now, the point I'm trying to make is it's common to have spells where it's 85, 90, 92, 93, and it's not raining. What we're having this week is the above that level of heat, and we're talking about like 90s, upper 90s. You know, that's pretty uncommon. To have high 90s for a whole week without rain, it's uncommon in the Orlando area. It happens, but it's uncommon. So one thing to know about is that heat index, which is going to be really high for the next several days. I mean, it's topped out, and the reason why is because there's no clouds, and the clouds are going to be absent, and there's nothing to mask the sunshine. So probably the highest heat index of the year is the next several days, and that's not an exaggeration, just because of how high the sun angle is this time of the year, how little clouds, and how hot it is. Temperatures out there right now, I mean, they're hot. Don't get me wrong, they're hot. I'll show you these full screen. They're hot. Not that unbearable. It's 91 now in Sanford, 91 in Orlando, 90 in Winter Haven, 85 in Melbourne, 91 in Daytona, 85 in Ocala, 86 in the Villages. When you factor in some of that humidity, Facebook, YouTube, folks, and on Fox Local, feels like 93 in Sanford, 95 in Winter Haven, 95 in New Smyrna, 86 in Melbourne. Those rain chances are 0, zilch, nada for the next week. And in fact, I don't even know if there's going to be rain next Thursday. There's been some discussion already about possibly some rain. I don't see it. I don't see it as of right now. I mean, maybe some, but probably not much. The place to be the next few days is at the beach. Here's the beach forecast tomorrow. We're talking about 90s. High tide is in the late morning. Low tide is in the late afternoon. As I got a good lesson from Brooks Garner this morning, as I'm not a surfer, I'm still trying to learn how to forecast and talk about surf conditions. With an offshore wind like we've got with this heat dome, it's decent surf weather in the next couple of mornings until the sea breeze kicks in, but a moderate rip current risk. It's not super high, the rip current risk. That's good news. But I mean, it's classic beach weather in here. Saturday at Daytona, Volusia County beaches will be at about a high tide of noon or so, and a low tide of about 5:36, with again a moderate rip current risk, but nothing all that extreme. So out there tonight, things are nice. Hello, Gene Hernandez. What do you think is causing that? What things like this mean a more active hurricane season? Jenny, Jenny, or tell me how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm confused. Your question. What do you think is causing that? The heat? Possibly. And don't forget, we're on YouTube too. If you got a YouTube question, there's the radar tonight. Things are high and dry and quiet. Drought got better, but it's still bad. We still have severe drought from the Villages to Daytona, despite that rain we had over the last week. All right, so the visible satellite tonight, hardly any clouds. Wear some sunblock and a hat. Probably good advice. Same temperature now in Chicago as it is in Orlando, 96 in Houston, 80 in Kansas City, 87 in Nashville, 94 in Tuscaloosa. It's a busy weekend for graduations. I know there are... Oh, okay, Jenny, I'll come back to that in a second. Good question. It's a busy weekend for graduations in Florida and in the Midwest and in the South. It depends on the university and the college. You know, some areas are before others. Like, for example, there's a lot of New England and Northeast schools just because that's where I'm from. I knew over last weekend. But this weekend in Florida, there's a lot of graduations. Many of them are outside. The weather's just really dang hot. But to our north, it's a big headline, you know, in Chicagoland and in St. Louis and in Nashville and in Kansas City and in Memphis and in Kentucky and in Ohio, Columbus. There's a lot of outdoor graduations that are going to get ruined tomorrow because of severe weather. But at least in Florida, it's just hot, and it's going to get hotter. So before we get to the national radar, I'll start you here. Quiet here. Bring you to the southeast. Things are quiet. Here's the national view. A couple of things. Let me turn off the labels here as they get distracting. So we'll just do a handmade surface analysis here. I'll just draw it by hand. There's your massive upper level low. You see it swirling here over the Dakotas. And off of that, an occluded front, which stretches like that. There is a cold front hidden in there, and then kind of a weird pseudo warm front that you can see there's a few tornado warnings over here in the Carolinas and Virginia. But big time supercells with this arcing line in Wisconsin. There's been several tornadoes. I was watching our sister station, Fox 9, in the Twin Cities. They've been on for, I don't know, hours now. And in Milwaukee, they've been on for hours too. A lot of tornadoes up there. For Chicagoland and Northern Illinois, it's probably just more some large hail through the evening. But yeah, there's a big front back here. It's snowing in the Rockies tonight. But this front, it's not going to make a lot of headway to us. It's just going to kind of stay there. And you can see with my drawing, it co-locates with the severe weather threat for tonight. I'll clear that off. You see all the warnings. So there it is tonight, severe weather threat. There it is tomorrow, which it's pretty significant tomorrow. Not often to have a level 4 risk in the same area this many times in the year, but there'll be some very large hail tomorrow, and probably some very high winds, and probably a few tornadoes. It's not as much a tornado day tomorrow as it is a monster hail day. And then again on Saturday, look at this, from New York City, even Boston, Mass, Hartford, Connecticut, Albany's in a slight risk, the big I-95 cities, Philly, D.C., down to Charlotte, and then back over here towards Little Rock and Central Texas. So kind of a bimodal distribution here, the statistical term for two different areas of similar character. You see there's two zones. They're kind of connected in the middle, but more of a hail threat Saturday down here, more of a wind threat up here in the northeast and the mid-Atlantic Saturday. But notice the severe threat does come close to us in Florida, at least South Georgia. When you watch Jessica and TJ this weekend, there could be some storms as nearby as South Georgia, but that's probably the closest they will come on Saturday. But here's the more or less pattern. I'll just give it to you straight. Make this full screen so you can see it. This is the pattern for the next week. Monster heat dome over Florida, active jet stream in the middle, a lot of cool weather from Nevada to Vegas. There's a lot of people in Vegas that are in Reno that are probably surprised at how cool it is, probably because they didn't check the weather, but I'm not going to judge, even though I just did. A lot of really, really cool weather. You know, it can get cold into June and snow in the Rockies, but it's still really chilly out west. So a lot of cool weather in the Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Little buckle in the jet stream where the yellow is, there's going to be like daily chances for tornadoes and severe weather from western PA to Oklahoma to Tennessee to Wisconsin. Then beneath that, we're just trapped under this heat dome. It's just a big area of high pressure that rotates clockwise, and it's just going to sit there and bake us and not move. These happen every summer, by the way. Sometimes you'll hear there's a lot of bad weather forecasts online that are out of context. Death Ridge and it's like polar vortex. These things are not new. They've been around for a zillion years. It's just they get out online in the news and they become viral, like the polar vortex did in like 2012. Anywho, heat domes are common. We don't refer to them as death ridges here. There's in the Southwest U.S., like if you watch a TV report in Phoenix, you'd hear that in the summertime. All that means is that there's an area of high pressure that's just stationary, and beneath it, it's really hot, and it's cloudless. So heat dome, this is the first one of the year, is over the Gulf, Florida, and the Gulf Coast in Texas, and it's really dang hot through next Thursday. These happen. Generally, I'd say there's at least a dozen of these a summer. I'd have to look. I don't know how I would even look what the average is, but these things happen where there's a big area of high pressure that it's cloudless and way hot compared to average. Some summers there's not many, and they generally sit and kind of meander for generally at a minimum a week, at maximum 2-3 weeks. They don't really last more than 3 weeks, and they move around the country. Like this one formed. It'll kind of migrate back across Mexico and Southern California, probably around Memorial Day, and we'll get some of that cool air into Florida. Then there's some sign it might go up towards New England, and they kind of just move around. So this is the first really heat dome of the summer season for 2025, and we just happen to be beneath it in Florida. So here is the latest 7-day, the way it looks tonight. I'll take this full so you can see it. This is for the Orlando area, so Orange County, Seminole County, Osceola, Sumter Lake. The coast obviously is about 6 to 9 degrees lower than this, but 95 tomorrow. Today I think the official high is going to clock in at 94. Let me look. Let me take a gander. Hello, Carmen Cabin. Let me know if you have a question, comment, concern. I would love to hear from you. So unofficially at 5:15 it was 93, but between the hours generally the high not generally, sometimes it reaches a degree higher. And the Weather Service will release that, so we'll see. But 93 or 94 was the high today. Tomorrow we'll get a smidgen hotter, so a degree or two hotter tomorrow, then a degree or two hotter Saturday, and a degree or two hotter Sunday and Monday, as that ridge builds over Florida. Somewhere around 97, 98 in the Orlando area, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I didn't have a ton of time to hem and haw and I don't know where that came from, but I didn't have a lot of time to think through too much into the data today because we were recording our hurricane special earlier, the Storm Team, which airs Memorial Day evening. You should mark that on your calendar, by the way. 7 o'clock on Memorial Day evening, right here on Fox 35 and on Fox Local. It's going to come out very good with the entire Storm Team, but this is a prime example where the temperature is not going to probably vary much next week. My point of that long-winded point is, once you get into these patterns, the models try to do like 99, 95. There's not a lot of bouncing around because when you're beneath a heat dome, there's nothing changing. So it's possible all those days end up my point is they're all going to probably end up the same, Saturday to Wednesday, whether that's 99, 95, 96, 98. They probably should all be the same number, but the point is once we get to Saturday through Wednesday, the pattern is identical and not changing. Saturday to Wednesday, it's the same thing. So whatever the temp ends up Saturday is probably what it'll end up early next week. For now, I just put 96 to 8. But the idea is we're in the high 90s. It's hot. It's really hot. There might be a cold front next Thursday with maybe a thunder shower. It feels weird to say cold front when we're going from 98 to 92. I don't know of anybody in my friends or family that would say that's colder. Maybe a less hot front. I don't know. I'd have to consult the powers to be that is Laurel or somebody else. But if we could label a less hot front that will come through next week, that would probably be more apt. I don't know if a 6-degree drop is cold. Let me show you that in the data, though. Walk you through some models now. Got a few minutes left with you. Hello, everybody. Fox Local, YouTube, Facebook. Appreciate you watching on here. So let me show you that with the weather data. So here is the heat dome. So look over here over Mexico. I'll just play this forward. Notice the reds there. This is the 500 millibar pattern. So in English, this is the more or less the jet stream pattern. About 20,000 feet technically this is. So notice here this weekend, this is Saturday, this big area of red, and you see the little lines on here. These are called wind barbs or wind vanes, and that's the wind at that height. And notice how they go clockwise. That's the high. That's the heat dome. Notice it's dark over Florida, the Gulf Coast, and here we are now. Notice the heat dome builds and expands heading into the weekend and next week. So here's Monday, still hot. This is why I think if there's a day that's probably the hottest, it's Tuesday of next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, just because the core of the heat dome will be over Florida. Right this weekend, it's probably out over the Gulf somewhere, or up by Cancun or Cozumel. So if this was a forecast contest between us friends, I'd probably say Tuesday or Wednesday technically would be the hottest day of this spell, but I mean, it's not going to be like a big deal. It's 98 versus 96. But so if you're curious as the hottest part, it's probably Tuesday or Wednesday. And then notice here as the pattern flips, that heat dome kind of collapses into the Caribbean. This is next Thursday, next Friday, next Saturday, and we get less hot. Less hot. Now, I want you to notice going into, this is Monday the 26th, look what happens. The heat dome goes back out west, over New Mexico, Baja, Arizona, West Texas. And here we go into Memorial Day weekend. Thankfully, I'm not on TV in New England, so I wouldn't have to worry about discussing this. But there's actually been a signal for snow in New England for Memorial Day weekend, which is funny. Let me show you that here. You see, this is the snow forecast. Look at that. That's Memorial Day weekend. These are obviously the mountains. It's the Berkshires up into the Green and White Mountains. But a foot of snow up in Mount Washington and some snow in Vermont. That would be crazy. I mean, it's happened plenty of times before, but I mean that's still a long way out. But the point is, if the model is signaling that, it's got to be cold. And the point is, it's really cool and probably going to be really cool in New England Memorial Day weekend, and we'll get a piece of that. See this float? Look where the heat dome is. This is the day after Memorial Day. The heat dome is out over Mexico, and we're going to get pretty strong northwest flow. Here's the temperature anomaly. Look across the eastern U.S. I mean, look, all the green and blue is below average. All the red is above average. And you can see right now all the warmth. And it doesn't fully come into Florida, but a little bit of it does. I mean, Memorial Day weekend, probably going to be really chilly up in New England, and we'll get maybe back to average here. Let me show you the raw GFS, what it shows for temps here. You can see here, I don't think it's going to be 81 Friday. Just throw that out. That's model nonsense. But you see here, instead of being 96 to 98, we're like 90, 91, 87 Memorial Day. So is it as hot? No, but it's more tamer. Now, in terms of rain, this is interesting. I'll show you the rain forecast. This is through Monday of next week. Let me see if I can bring this over the Gulf. This is through Monday, 0. This is through next Wednesday, 0. Now, notice over Florida, very little, but I mean, look at the rain total. I mean, it's a tenth of an inch, maybe. I mean, there's nothing that's that's not getting me excited for anything in the forecast. I mean, that's so we'll cross check with the Euro model, the King Euro model, as they say. A little bit more rain. This is next Thursday. Notice the rain. I'll play it back and forth. You see, look at the rain. This is Thursday, 1/4 of an inch. I mean, that's probably a broken line of showers. Is it more than that? I doubt it. But what it could do is bring down lower humidity. Look over Florida. This is the humidity chart. Notice this front. This is next Thursday, next Friday. very low humidity. So next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend we're probably closer to 90, maybe even the upper 80s, and it's notably less humid. So do you call that cold? I don't. Do you call 88 cold?
No.
There you have it. So a less hot front probably comes in the end of next week. So if you're curious as to when the relief comes, when there's a change, it's probably Thursday or Friday of next week, and it gets back to average next week. Ooh, some questions are blistering in. Let's take a look. It looks like Orlando is in a hot stretch. That is correct, Sarah. And the heat is going to get worse, isn't it, Rosa? Correct. Gene, you asked about the hurricane season. We've got 3 minutes left. Laurel, shout out to her, made this earlier. So this is the East Pacific names, which started today, the East Pacific hurricane season. They go to Z. We don't go to Z in the Atlantic because there's not enough names in the alphabet that have Z. The powers that be, not us, that decide these things, decided to make it go to Z in the Pacific. I don't know. So you get X, Y, and Z names over there. You don't get them over here. If you notice that. So there's nothing in the Pacific right now. There's nothing in the Atlantic. It's still quiet. And interestingly enough, this is the first time since this is the 6th time since 1950 there's not been a named storm yet in both basins. So a little bit quiet of a start. A little bit quiet is the takeaway. Normally you have at least an early season storm here by this point, but not this year. So there's a view tonight. Lovely view. I mean, it is still hot. It's going to get hotter. But hey, you move to Florida, this is what you sign up for. You love it. Just make sure you wear a hat and sunscreen, which probably could take my own advice on that one. Here's the Hyatt camera. Yeah, Disney and Universal will be making a lot of money on water this weekend. That I can tell you. And a lot of money on ice cream. I actually think Laurel has an ice cream graphic somewhere, which you'll have to see that. But yeah, this is definitely the weather where the ice cream melts pretty quickly, even in the evening. So you guys have a great night. We appreciate you watching as always. Don't forget, Memorial Day evening, we will have our Storm Team special, all of us together, at 7 o'clock right here on Fox 35. For now, have a great weekend. Stay cool. We'll see you tonight in the News Edge at 8 with Laurel, and then me again at 10 and 11. Have a good night. Take care.